Well, hi again from Ken Marchlinsky in Pittsburgh. Hey, staying with this theme because I can't see anything more important than this right now outside the gospel. The gospel always comes first. The understanding that God is triune, co-equal, also, uh, you know, of first importance of understanding. If you're, but very few people that are running around in the United States that would watch this would not know that Christianity teaches a triune God, three persons, one, and uh, that Christ died for our sins, and by faith in Him we are forgiven if we just ask Him and trust Him. So next comes, because of its imminence, I'm going to stay on the theme of Apophis and the rapture, and also the beginning, starting of the tribulation. And I found a fellow that is going to read and explain some of Revelation chapter 8. So, you don't want to crack a Bible, then don't. I wish you would, but I know what people are like. Most of you couldn't find a Bible in your house, and you think, and there's a lot of you that think that it's hard to read. Well, just follow along and ask people. Ask me. That's what I'm here for, to be asked. Nobody asks me anything, and that's just how it goes. And so today is Sunday. It is 12:10 a.m. in the morning, Sunday, May 4th. And so I want to get going with this fellow, so I'm going to shrink me down and see if I can get him started. Shrinky, shrinky, shrink. Let's put me where I belong, in the corner, in trouble. Okay, let's see if I can get this to play. Clickety click. There we go. I have to move myself up off of the starter. See, there's the starter. I believe now you can see me do these things. And of course, this is what I was watching. Tom Horn, cars, things like that. They're soon to disappear. Let's make it bigger there. Goodbye. Okay, I'll just let this start. It's 16 minutes. I have to put my glasses back on. 16 minutes and 39 seconds. And we never see Tom Horn. How far back this goes, I think he does I think this might be 5 or 6 years old. Now remember, Apophis was reported discovered in 2004. That's 21 years ago. And but if Apophis is Wormwood of Revelation chapter 8, well, I'm letting a person read Revelation chapter 8 and do a bit of an explanation as well, and take the labor off me, and I'll sit by and learn with you. Okay, here we go.
Today I'm talking about the star Wormwood hitting the earth, what the book of Revelation says, and I'm interviewing Dr. Tom Horn, who has written the book The Messenger, and it is about Wormwood hitting the earth potentially in 2029, and he'll be giving you the details on that. And I'll also be answering your questions, such as, what about all the recent UFO sightings? What does that mean? I'm Jimmy Evans. Welcome to the Tipping Point Show.
I will skip ahead whenever I can, like right now. We don't need to watch his advertisement of a show.
Welcome to the Tipping Point Show today. We've got a very, very interesting show today because we're talking about Revelation chapter 8, where Wormwood, the star Wormwood, hits the earth. Now, there is an asteroid headed toward Earth that NASA is talking about. All the experts are talking about it. about it hitting the earth in April of 2029, and that's what this book is about by Thomas Horn. We have a big interview coming, some in the free portion of the free portion of the program. The rest of it will be in the subscriber portion after the break. But he's written this book called The Messenger, and this.
Okay, was going to make a comment. Oh, this is why I date my videos. See, you're watching with me this man's video, Tipping Point, I guess it's called, and I don't know when it's done. And sometimes most of the time you look down in the credits, and it really only gives you the date of when it was most recently published. So you have to listen. That's why I give you my date, the month, the day, and the year. So you know when I'm saying things. This man is also breaking down information that he's giving for free now, but there's more information for subscribers. So there's a carrot on a stick. I don't do that. Okay, I'm not. He's old enough to hold a job and make an income besides this. And but then again, he's not professing to be any kind of a Christian. And hey, I like that on-air thing. I might actually get one, and a microphone, and I'll get a cowboy hat. Just tease it. Okay, let's get busy.
The detail now about what the experts are saying, and that is there is an asteroid, a major asteroid on the way to Earth, and many of the leading experts are saying it's going to hit the Earth on April the 13th, 2029. And so Dr. Thomas Horn is going to be talking about what that means related to the end times and when the beginning of the tribulation would occur. So stay tuned for that. Let me just kind of talk us up to the point of the interview with Dr. Horn. I've been talking about the book of Revelation, and there are basically 21 judgments. There are more than that actually in the book of Revelation, but you have the 7 seal judgments, and we've talked about that, the 7 trumpet judgments and the 7 bowl judgments, and they get worse. Now, they start out really bad. Some people ask, does the tribulation begin with, not too much bad stuff happening, and then there's the great tribulation? That Jesus is the one that told us in the middle of the tribulation, when the abomination of desolation occurs, he said the second part of that is great tribulation such as never occurred on the earth. And so the last 3.5 years is definitely worse than the first 3.5 years, but the first 3.5 years are very, very severe. The first seal that is broken, there's a rider on a white horse, that's the Antichrist, and he has a bow, he's making war, he goes out to conquer and to make war. Then there's a rider on the red horse, that's the second seal that's broken. Peace is taken from the earth and men kill each other. Okay. The third seal is the rider on the black horse, and it says that there's famine and starvation. It takes an entire day's wage to buy enough food to survive that day. The fourth seal is broken, and it's the pale horse. A fourth of mankind is killed in different manner by starvation, by sword, and by wild animals. It's just absolutely awful. The first 4 seals are terrible. The 5th seal is broken, and you have the altar of souls, where the people who have been martyred are asking God, how much longer do we have to wait? And the Lord says to him, there's more coming. There's more people who are going to be martyred. And so you need to wait a little bit longer. What that means is there's going to be mass martyrdom during the tribulation, the Antichrist killing people. Revelation 20 tells us about the people who have been beheaded because they would not worship the beast or take the mark of the beast. So this is mass martyrdom during the tribulation.
I might as well make a few comments. I am not know that much by comparison to my other knowledge of Revelation by true scholars with a capital S. They've referred to Revelation as the hardest book of the Bible, a mystery, and it is a difficult book. For me, it's hard, and it's hard for me. I've never, not enough excuse giving, but my forte is salvation, apologetics. I know enough of Revelation to know enough generalities and a few points. that is plenty, I think, because time is limited. You have doctors, for example, you have doctors that specialize in certain areas. You've got heart doctors, and you've got, pulmonary doctors. Why? Because there's just so much information that in these areas anymore. You can't be an expert of all disciplines. So I have to cut somewhere. So this guy's more in tune than I am. He's looking at his laptop. I don't use any help like that. I want to make a point about what he said. I'll probably have to cut back in and make it.
When the sixth seal is broken, something very interesting happens.
Oh, the martyrs. Martyrs are beheaded. Well, we know Islam loves to behead people. Okay. That's not, I don't believe beheading is a Roman deal, but it might be because Paul, the apostle, was beheaded. Peter, according to tradition, was crucified upside down. In fact, according to tradition, I think many of the apostles are martyred on crosses. But anyway, I know that the beheading is not something that is right now in the Western world. I mean, they'll shoot you, they'll hang you, they'll electrocute you, they'll give you lethal injection, but beheading, no, not. So where's that going to come from in the future?
This is kind of a preview of what we're talking about with Wormwood. It says, and I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood.
Okay, the earthquake is the body hitting the large space body asteroid hitting the Earth, shakes the whole Earth. The dark, the moon and everything, and the stars of heaven fell to earth as a fig tree drops her. Well, these are all idioms for after the impact, the following nuclear winter that will block out the sun, the moon, and the stars. So let's continue.
Stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island moved out of it.
Okay, well, if you've watched disaster movies, a couple of them show asteroids hitting Earth. And let me make my thing larger here. Put my glasses on because I can't see. I want you to be able to see me gesture with my hands. Nope. Come on. There it is. You see the asteroids in great special effects movies, Hollywood movies. It hits, and then it pushes the blast wave pushes out against clouds, and you see the clouds clear away that fast on a globe that is, let's say, 10 feet across behind me. And that's, I think, what's happening when it says the clouds rolled up as a scroll. Now, all of this next part I have to hear to reference. I don't have it memorized.
Place. And the kings of the earth, the rich men, the mighty men, the commanders, every slave and every free man hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said,
well, right now we know about a lot of us preppers and people that are in the know that the United States and other governments have made deep, hyper secure, hyper prepared and stocked holes in the ground. Okay, and there's a huge opening at Denver International Airport, which reminds me to say this: if an opening to your safety hole shelter in the ground cave is at Denver Airport, or in Denver. It's great to put an airport there. They built the Denver International Airport when they already had an airport. They didn't need another, but they needed one that would be at the mouth of their entrance into their safety. So if you're in New York City and you're one of the elite, if something happens, jump in your Lear jet, get to Denver in a hurry, you land and take a taxi car to the open the open door of your protection of your cave. See how that works? So you can use jets and planes to get to your safety because there's an airport.
The mountains and rocks fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? Well, I want to begin. This is talking about the sky growing black, and stars begin to drop like a fig tree drops its figs, and all those things. Well, if you saw the movie Greenland, it's a good movie, and it talks about extinction level event that happens when an asteroid hits the Earth. And what you notice in that movie, which is a very realistic movie, is an asteroid is not just one big rock, even though it is, ultimately. You have all of these stars, all of these parts of the rock hitting in waves. And so that would be like a fig tree losing its figs. And so we're going to read in just a minute in Revelation chapter 8 now, all of the events, or the first 4 trumpets, are going to sound in Revelation chapter 8. The seals are over. The first 4 trumpets are going to sound, and all of these are the same event. It's all wormwood that is about to hit, that hits, and the effect after it hits. So this is chapter 8. When he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Then another angel, having a golden censer, came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints ascended before God from the angel's hand. And then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there were noises, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake. So the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. So they're about to sound their trumpets, and as each one of them sounds the first 4 trumpets now, this is all talking about the same event. This is the first trumpet. Verse 7, the first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed.
Now this is verse 7. Look down here. See it here, Revelation 8, verses 7 through 13. So we're working Revelation chapter 8 from the first verse. So that's where we're at in and on the Bible.
Filled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up.
All right, now you need to pay attention to a third. You'll hear a third. Well, here it is right here. 1. Well, let's go to a third. Here's first a third. That's 1. 2, a third. 3, a third. Said again and again. A third is 4. A third, 5. 5 times, apparently in these verses 7 through 13, the term a third comes up. I've said before, I don't believe he's going to say this, and I don't fault him. He's probably a brother in Christ. Let me support him. And he's doing a good job. A third of the planet, terra firma, the third of the firmament of the planet is said to be the North and South American continents. And it's sitting right between the 2 of them, where Wormwood is. Just in the Pacific, about 300 miles off the very southern California coast, very close to where California meets Mexico. And so it's going to really, it's going to basically kill Mexico. All of Mexico. It's just, I think it'll be a cinder, just about. I mean, absolutely 100% death, and because of the proximity of the hit. Same thing with California, especially Southern California. And then you've got to deal with all those, like I said, the San Andreas fault lines. It'll kick off the Yellowstone caldera volcano. And I mean, the sky, you're not going to see the sun and the moon and the stars, or anything. It'll be dark on Earth for all of, you'll think, eternity, because from that point on, I can't see uh, any kind of real light coming through. Now, maybe if you're in the middle of China, you might get a break, and of a little bit of sun, and see the sky a little bit. But a third, the North American and South American continents make up 1/3 of the Earth. Now, just remember, this has to be, you have to use wisdom. You have to ask God to show you what is happening. Let me start again. I'm going too long.
So now here comes this asteroid, and it begins to enter Earth's atmosphere. And what happens is the atmosphere becomes superheated. And so just like this star is coming, it's throwing off these parts of it that come in first. That's what it's talking about here. And then everything begins to get burned up. It begins to scorch the earth. Here's the second trumpet, same event. Then the second angel sounded his...
Okay, second trumpet, but the same event. See, this makes things confusing. Same event, but why the second trumpet? But, well, maybe it's a different effect of the same event. What's the event? Wormwood hitting Earth.
Something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea became blood. And
Okay, now. There's a mention of two things hitting Earth, okay, two asteroids. The second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea became blood. Okay, I believe this is still talking about Wormwood.
1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. Again, this is part of Wormwood. This is part of the asteroid that comes and it strikes the ocean. And when it does, it just devastates the ocean and the sea life in the ocean. Okay, here's the third trumpet. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on 1/3 of the rivers and 1/3 of the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. 1/3 of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was bitter. Now you notice that this is affecting 1/3 of the earth. Now, that's a massive amount of geography that this is covering, both in the sea and on the land, and it's making the waters poisoned, so that people die when they drink the waters. And now later in Revelation.
Okay, well, you've got ash, and you've got whatever this the asteroid's going to be pulverized, Apophis Wormwood, and it'll enter the air and then be part of the nuclear winter. So it might contain poisons, perhaps lead or something, or arsenic. But remember, too, you're going to have a lot of volcano ash. And, I'm not sure. I heard that Yellowstone's ash will be like pulverized glass. You don't want to get it in your lungs. You don't want to get it in your body through drinking.
16, all sea life dies, and all of the waters of the earth are either poisoned or become blood.
I'm going to back up.
So that both in the sea and on the land, and it's making the waters poisoned, so that people die when they drink the waters. And now later in Revelation 16, all sea life dies, and all of the waters of the earth are either poisoned or become blood.
Okay, Revelation 16, he jumped ahead eight more chapters. First, so he's talking about chapter 16 of Revelation. I'm sure he's going to circle back to chapter 8.
So the judgment upon the waters is one of the great judgments now. But what you'll notice now in the trumpet judgments and also or the seal judgments and the trumpet judgments is it's partial. It's a fourth. It's a third. It's partial. When you get to the bowl judgments later on in the book of Revelation, it's total. Everyone's affected by those judgments. And so this is the fourth trumpet. Then the fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, so the third of them were darkened. A third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. And I looked, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because the remaining blast of the trumpet of the three angels were about to sound. Let me go back now to the sixth seal and read you what I read you earlier. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. So both in the sixth seal and also here at the fourth trumpet, we're told that the sky grows black. That's exactly what happens when a meteor or an asteroid hits the earth. That magnitude of an asteroid, it throws up all the dust. There's all like Mount St. Helens or something like that. All this dust is thrown up into the atmosphere, and it becomes very dark or black. So these
AKA nuclear winter.
Judgments are describing one event. An asteroid is coming. It begins to superheat the earth, burn up all the green grass, all of that. Then it throws off a part of itself in the ocean. Then it hits the earth, and then the sky grows black. So the judgment of Wormwood is a severe judgment that causes great death, great harm. You can understand the level of panic. Now,
I want to remind people, if you've been following my stuff, that one or two back, the next one or the next one before that back videos, we have Neil deGrasse Tyson contradicting himself, but
Dr. Tom Horn,
he did say this verbatim. No one has to die. Yeah, if it hits, no one has to die. Okay. And this man here, okay, is giving you the reality of such a strike.
Going to join us here, and he had a personal experience that he's going to talk about, a dream that he experienced that then led him to the truth of Apophis. Now, Apophis is what NASA is calling the asteroid that is on its way here. And there's some level of disagreement that you'll hear him talk about, that NASA is trying to deny that this is going to hit the Earth directly. You can imagine the panic that would cause if everyone knew this was happening. And by the way, we have sent up a spaceship for the purpose of finding asteroids and trying to blow them up for the purpose of them not hitting the Earth. And so I personally believe that is in response to Apophis and what NASA is saying right here. So we're going to go right now to this interview by Dr. Tom. NASA has affirmed that there is an asteroid headed toward the Earth. They're calling it Apophis. And they're saying it's going to arrive, was it 2029?
Yeah, Friday the 13th, April 2029. And you may have seen in recent weeks where they're reaffirming something they already did say, and I dealt with it in both the Wormwood prophecy as well as the new book, The Messenger, in which they're saying that while Apophis is going to make a very, very close miss of the Earth, they are saying that right now they're calling an all clear, saying that it's not going to impact the planet. Now, this is something that your listeners need to really pay attention to. There are numerous scientists that reacted to their most recent all clear, warning that the trajectory that they have made, their calculation of Apophis, is off by as much as 600,000 miles. Good. In fact, the mathematician Harry Lear, he implies that Apophis is going to crash into Earth in 8 years from now, and he even went so far as to send a letter to the President of the United States.
I want to back up, okay? There's another expert chiming in saying it's going to hit the Earth. Let's get his name. I'm going to back it up here for you. I'm hoping this is far enough back without wasting your time.
To their most recent all clear, warning that the trajectory that they have made, their calculation of Apophis.
trying to blow them up.
I'm going back further. Sorry, guys, but this second, I keep missing them. And if I'm missing them all the time, this is my third time I've seen, fourth time I've seen this video. I want to make a mental note.
For the purpose of them not hitting the Earth. And so I personally believe that is in response to Apophis and what NASA is saying right here. So we're going to go right now to this interview by Dr. Tom. NASA has affirmed that there is an asteroid headed toward the Earth. They're calling it Apophis. And they're saying it's going to arrive, was it 2029?
Yeah, Friday the 13th, April 2029. And you may have seen in recent weeks where they're really reaffirming something they already did say, and I dealt with it in both the Wormwood prophecy as well as the new book, The Messenger, in which they're saying that while Apophis is going to make a very, very close miss of the Earth, they are saying that right now they're calling an all clear, saying that it's not going to impact the planet. Now, this is something that your listeners need to really pay attention to. There are numerous scientists that reacted to their most recent all clear, warning that the trajectory that they have made, their calculation of Apophis, is off by as much as 600,000 miles. In fact, the mathematician Harry Lear, he implies that...
Mathematician Harry Lear. The math, okay, not necessarily, well, I think if you're a physicist, you're certainly a great mathematician. So anyway, the guy's name is Harry Lear, and I'm just really belaboring this a bit.
Apophis is going to crash into Earth in 8 years from now, and he even went so far as to send a letter to the President of the United States.
All right, Tom just said 8 years from now. Since this man, I don't know when this was done, now we know that, 8 years from now, it's still 4 years out for us today. So if this is done 4 years ago in 2021, maybe.
Begging him to have the U.S. government scientists cross-check those calculations immediately, because he says that NASA's either playing a game with the trajectory stats, or they are just they're intentionally misleading the public. And then he ends his letter. Anybody can log online and read his letter. He ends that dispatch with this ominous admonition that he thinks we're already out of time anyway. But maybe if we got on it now, and I think behind the scenes they are on it now, I think it's part of the reason Space Force was formed, that they're trying to figure out how they might be able to mitigate this incoming event. But it's not just Lear. Nathan Myhrvold, who was the head of Microsoft, the science department for Microsoft for many years, he is
Nathan Myhrvold from Microsoft at the root.
Constantly listed every year in the top 100 scientists in the world. And he recently wrote a peer-reviewed paper that I referred to in the books called An Empirical Examination of WISE, Neo-WISE, Asteroid Analysis and Results, in which he not only refutes a lot of the data from NASA, he charges them outright with deliberately misreporting threats by these near-Earth objects and of behaving extremely deceptively with deliberate scientific misconduct. So in other words, he is saying this wasn't an accident on part. They are going out of their way to intentionally cover up very real, potentially imminent space threats, including Apophis. And then there's a video on YouTube that anybody can watch right now that's got the famous planetary scientist and the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, very popular figure. And he says that on April 13, 2029, I'll quote, this is from the YouTube video, this is a quote, Apophis will come so close to Earth that it will dip below our orbiting communication satellites. It will be the largest, closest thing we have ever observed to come by Earth. The orbit we have for it now is uncertain because these things are hard to measure and hard to get an exact distance for, so we cannot tell you exactly what that trajectory will be. So, and this was the same thing that the astronomer from the Pentagon told me. He said it's absolutely baloney. Well, he used a different word that I won't use. He said it's absolute baloney. He said you can't say that a stone as big as a Apophis, and it's a monster, is going to come literally below the satellites, knock out some of the satellites, below the satellites that are in orbit around this planet, and yet say with any certitude, but no worry, it's not going to strike the planet. He said that's absolute baloney. Watch the movie Greenland, where right up until and so you know that in the beginning, NASA, they're all saying, no worries, it's just going to skim past, no big deal, take pictures, draw cartoon pictures of it. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts heading for cover. And that is what many of these people believe is going to happen with Apophis. Now, why would NASA be covering that up? Well, it's really obvious, because it would create mass panic. And maybe meanwhile, they might come up with some way to mitigate the incoming of that asteroid.
Well, they're sending a spaceship up right now to blast an asteroid.
They are.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true. Well, if Apophis is coming in, Wormwood, let's use that term. Well, remember, too, there might be others, and there probably is. There's a couple of near misses already we've had this year, by smaller ones. I didn't bother following them because I know the Wormwood Apophis is the one we need to watch.
That's exactly right, and that's the reason why they are doing that.
Well, that's a fascinating interview. I hope that you enjoyed that. Now, we have more of it coming, about 10 more minutes of that interview coming up in the subscriber portion. If you're not a subscriber, please become a subscriber. endtimes.com is where you go to subscribe. It's $7 a month, $77.
Okay, here we go. We got something you have to pay for. Whatever.
For a year. As a monthly subscriber, you get the first month for free.
We're done here. We're done. Okay. I want to make me bigger for right now. Much bigger. Big. Okay, let's make that. Goodbye, pal. The dealio of this thing is that I'm not going to be here. Christians will be raptured October 13th, give or take 1 or 2 days earlier. It won't be past October 13th because that's the final day of Sukkot, which is known as also the Feast of Tabernacles and Feast of Booths and all these other names for the one single feast of modern Israel, today's Israel in Judaism. It makes things so confusing for us. But we're going in that. Tom Horn is a true scholar. See, what my gift is God leads me to these people. He gives me the ability to understand what they're saying. He gives me the ability to teach well and to ferret out any kind of glitches in their teaching that would confuse a listener, and then present it as of course their own information, but a cleaned up, better way, easier to understand way. So that's my gift. I can also see BS. It hits me in the face when I see it like a pie in the face. I mean, what is this? What is this guy doing here? I see it very clearly. I believe that would be considered discernment. And I don't know. I've heard things like double portions and things like that of certain gifts. Maybe. Okay. I think if there is such a thing as a double portion, in other words, a really good shot of discernment of that kind of a gift, I believe I have it. It doesn't work everywhere, but in a book, in reading and screen, I can smell it a mile away. And okay, people, if you're not saved, why don't you ask Christ to save you from hell right now? And tell him you're trusting him and you're asking him to save you from hell. And then say, I'm trusting you. You said if I ask and trust that you will do it, you will do it. And then if you've done that, then thank him for saving you. Just like that, you're saved. You're done. As far as salvation, staying out of hell and being born again, it's over. Now the journey is the hard part. In many ways, I'm a bloody mess for my 43 years. I've paid the price. I've done Hebrews 13:13. I've borne the reproach of Christ. Hebrews 13:13. It's not a pretty thing. Family, friends, they all leave me. And they all start to hate me and talk about me. I can't believe it. But I do. I used to scratch my head, but God eventually, after a couple of decades, or a decade or two of this, the Lord explained to me, this is the reproach, Ken, you get. And if you serve me, and serve me with your whole heart, and I do, I'm a sinner. Let me tell you, I'm a bad guy in many ways still. I got this. I'm living in this flesh, and when you live in the flesh is evil. And I've got all of the appetites buffered, of course, at this age that a man has, as a young man. But some are been abated and some are buffered, and I'm glad of that. And but anyway, do that. Come to Christ, and you that belong to Christ, please talk to your friends. If you don't know what to say, pick one of my videos that is most apropos, or have them contact me. Via a video. I'm trying to watch my comments so I can get to them. Right now, my videos are growing. I'm getting close to 30, and I'm touching something and making noise again with my left hand nervously. Okay, God bless you. In Christ's name, goodbye.